This is a man who's somehow one of the Democratic frontrunners for the 2028 election, Gavin Newsom. He genuinely offered us this gem that I could not pass up. Take a listen.
All that reputational damage that's being done as they're sitting there on horses with American flags running through soccer fields, scaring kids that are playing soccer in the middle of the day at a summer camp. For what?
Zohran Mamdani, another return contestant. A mayoral candidate coming up for New York City. He's a professional victim and a part-time deflector-in-chief. Kristen Welker asked, very simply, whether he condemns the phrase, globalize the intifada. Check this out.
That's not language that I use. The language that I use and the language that I will continue to use to lead this city is that which speaks clearly to my intent, which is an intent grounded in a belief in universal human rights.
But do you actually condemn it? I think that's the question. And
let's take a look at Zohran Mamdani rapping back in the day.
Go ahead, make a rap for your nanny. It's a rap. Get the guap, spin the rack on your nanny. Spin the rack. Come through, give a dab to your nanny. If you really feeling good, spin a track for your nanny.
Honestly, this clip right here that I'm going to play you pretty much sums up his entire mindset during his run. 3 elections and 1 obsession. Boo Trump, yay Biden. Boo Trump again. Check it out.
Donald Trump has been sworn in as president of the United States. I know. Listen, we're just as confused as you are. Joe Biden did it. I sat down and just started crying with relief. And Evie said, you never have to talk about him again. After a bizarre and vicious campaign fueled by a desperate need not to go to jail, Donald Trump has won the 2024 election.
Find the colors, find the light. In the gray, we'll find our sight. Brutal banner, fearless words. Shadows creep, streets look hurt.
Welcome to Stay in the Gray podcast. I'm your host, Ryan, and I'm here to bring you raw conversations about life and those undeniable human truths. We dive into the chaos, one issue at a time, blending comedy, controversy, and the unexplainable. Get ready for transparent ideas straight from the gray areas, where most answers are hiding. So stay curious, stay inquisitive, please stay laughing, stay in the gray. Come check it out. We'll see you there. Hey guys, here we go. Another episode of They Really Said That, the Grievance Games. Before I get rolling, I want to remind you why I even make these They Really Said That episodes. I started doing it a while back. I do them every other episode, and there's just constant ammunition for these. It's fun, don't get me wrong, but mostly it's because this rhetoric that's being spewed by people with larger platforms than me, the garbage that people just let slide, it matters. People hear a phrase on a podcast, a viral clip, a tweet from someone with status, and suddenly it becomes fact. No questions, no thought, just an emotional reaction. And that's how we got where we are now in this country. That's how we keep sinking. And it's why I sit down and I shred this stuff apart. It's not because it's entertaining, though it is, but because if we don't start calling it out piece by piece, it becomes the narrative. And once that takes root, climbing back out of that spiral gets harder every time. So let's fix it while we still can. This is Stay in the Gray podcast. It's July 21st, 2025. Let's roll. All right, before we get into this, I want you to really hear it for yourself. This guy, again, it's not AI. It's not satire. This is a man who's somehow one of the Democratic frontrunners for the 2028 election, Gavin Newsom. He's a return contestant, yes, like I mentioned, here at the games. But he genuinely offered us this gem that I could not pass up. Take a listen.
All that reputational damage that's being done as they're sitting there on horses with American flags running through soccer fields, scaring kids that are playing soccer in the middle of the day at a summer camp. For what? just toughness. It's a weakness masquerading as strength. That's what I don't like about this son of a bitch. I don't. And forgive me, I know he's the president of the United States. Forgive me, I didn't, yeah, he calls me new scum. Come on. How do I explain that to my kid? Now I have my kids' friends calling my kids new scum. That I get, because I was called that in 7th grade.
Oh, goodness. How do I explain that to my children? I don't know, Gavin. You could try, sometimes people call me names when I'm losing badly. Or, Daddy made a lot of decisions that hurt a lot of people, and now they're pointing it out. Something like that. Well, let's be honest, one of your kids listens to Charlie Kirk. He probably heard new scum and thought, yeah, it's about right. So California's favorite gel-haired Hallmark villain is back in the Grievance Games. Why? Because somehow he's polling second behind J.D. Vance for 2028. And this is what their bench looks like. Let's talk about what got him here for this episode. As you just saw, Newsom claims with a full face of fake outrage that the National Guard, in case you missed that part, stormed a children's soccer field on horseback. Yes, stormed, scaring them, as if America was reenacting a scene from Braveheart in downtown LA. But here's what actually happened. The National Guard rode across MacArthur Park. The kids were already gone, and even if they had been there, they probably thought it was awesome. Perhaps like a live Fortnite event. Do you really think a bunch of 8-year-olds saw horses and went, Mom, I'm scared? No, they went, is there a parade? Are we filming a movie? Kids are like that. But Gavin spun it into full fascism, of course. Apparently, mounted patrol equals authoritarianism now. His concern isn't the fentanyl overdoses, the crime, the fact that every middle-class family is trying to U-Haul their way out of his state. Nope, it's the horses in the park. And what's got him extra emotional on this interview? Trump called him new scum. Well, he's called him that more than once. That's a trigger, apparently. Was that the reason for his interview meltdown? He clapped back. He's a son of a bitch. Wow, that's very presidential, Gavin, ahead of your 2028 race. Listen, when your biggest crisis is how to explain a nickname to your kids, maybe politics isn't the issue. Maybe you're just too soft for the job. Here's what's really going on. Gavin Newsom is spiraling. The country is waking up to the damage in California. The migrants, the homelessness, the crime, the lies, the riots. The only play left for him is fear and victimhood. The orange man called me names and the mean soldiers walked through a park. This is not leadership. It's PR therapy. And this guy wants to be president. Let's just say if this is the best the left has to offer that they have lined up for 2028, I hope they run him. Please, I beg you. Good luck, Gavin. Let's move on. Let's go to another political cluster right now across the other side of the United States in the East. Zohran Mamdani, another return contestant. A mayoral candidate coming up for New York City. He's a professional victim and a part-time deflector-in-chief. On NBC's Meet the Press, Kristen Welker asked, very simply, whether he condemns the phrase, globalize the intifada. Check this out.
Recently asked about the term globalize the intifada, if it makes you uncomfortable. In that moment, you did not condemn the phrase. Now, just so folks understand, it's a phrase that many people hear as a call to violence against Jews. There's been a lot of attention on this issue. So I want to give you an opportunity to respond here and now. Do you condemn that phrase, globalize the intifada?
That's not language that I use. The language that I use and the language that I will continue to use to lead this city is that which speaks clearly to my intent, which is an intent grounded in a belief in universal human rights.
But do you actually condemn it? I think that's the question and the outstanding issue that a number of people, both of the Jewish faith and beyond, have. Do you condemn that phase, globalize the intifada, which a lot of people hear as a call to violence against Jews?
I've heard those fears and I've had those conversations, and ultimately they are part and parcel of why in my campaign I've put forward a commitment to increase funding for anti-hate crime programming by 800%. I don't believe that the role of the mayor is to police speech in the manner especially of that of Donald Trump, who has put one New Yorker in jail who's just returned to his family, Mahmoud Khalil, for...
Wow. That wasn't a dodge. That was a full-on slalom event. He went from, I wouldn't use that phrase, to Trump is dangerous and mean, to I'm not the speech police. I'm a mayoral candidate. Imagine being asked, do you support violent uprising? And your response is, well, I'd rather spend the money on inner city hate crimes. What does that have to do with anything that you were asked? It doesn't. Jews in New York don't feel safer because you're funding a DEI flyer. They want to know if their mayoral candidate thinks it's okay to chant a phrase that literally translates to violent revolt, especially after 2 years of campus mobs calling for Jewish deaths and violent protests erupting in Manhattan. But Zoran doesn't want to say no. Why? Because the far left base he's courting loves that phrase. And so does he. And let's talk about his speech police line. I'm the mayor. I'm not here to be the speech police. Really? Well, let's reverse this. Imagine a Republican candidate who refused to condemn a rallying cry like cleanse the caliphate or globalize the crusade. You think Zoran would let that slide? No, he'd be on MSNBC demanding apologies, reparations, and emergency funding for emotional trauma therapy. This isn't about free speech, it's about cowardice. This guy refuses to offend anti-Semites because they're his voters. And that's what he is as well. He wants their vote more than he wants moral clarity. Frankly, that makes him unfit to lead a city that has more Jews than Tel Aviv. As soon as I start losing it about this dude, which I have, I play the following, which I'm going to play for you now, and it makes me feel better. Let's take a look at Zohran Mamdani rapping back in the day.
Go ahead, make a rap for your nanny. It's a rap. Get the guap, spin the rack on your nanny. Spin the rack. Come through, give a dab to your nanny. If you really feeling good, spin a track for your nanny.
I encourage you to go watch the rest of that if you need a good chuckle. I've heard high school cafeteria raps that were better than that, and half of those kids were suspended for vaping. That performance was so off rhythm, Hamas tried to return the campaign funding donation out of embarrassment. All right, enough. Let's not condemn the man for trying to channel his inner artiste. I actually admire that. Let's condemn him for the dangers he represents to our country's largest city. Moving on. Ladies and gentlemen, we now go live to a Facebook history professor with 0 credentials, 0 context, and apparently 0 clue. Here's what Brooke Talks Politics, I guess I'm giving her a nice plug, had to say this week from her suburban panic room. She said, people at Alligator Alcatraz are being given wristbands with a number on it. They must wear for ID purposes. It's truly giving 1936 vibes. Let's take a moment to absorb that. Not 2024 vibes, not even 2004 vibes. Brooke hit us with giving us the 1936 vibes, because assigning a wristband at a detention center for ID purposes is apparently the exact same as Nazi Germany. Let's unpack the sheer stupidity with just 3 key points. Wristbands. Do you mean like every hospital in America gives you? How about Disney World? Business conferences, the Coachella Festival that you definitely snuck into with a fake one? Number 2, assigned numbers. Brooke, Social Security numbers. Driver's license numbers. Passport, you guessed it, numbers. inmate numbers, athlete jersey numbers, veterans ID numbers. The fucking Wi-Fi at Starbucks gives you a number when you log in. So if numbers equals fascism, welcome to the fucking Fourth Reich. Brought to you by Verizon. But the real insult isn't the stupidity. It's the comparison. So, number 3, 1936 Germany. We're talking about the industrialized dehumanization and extermination of millions of Jews, Roma, political dissidents, and children. And Brooke's comparing that to detention wristbands. Let me be clear. This isn't just wrong. It's repulsive. These people broke immigration law, the ones in Alligator Alcatraz. They're not being processed into gas chambers. They're getting an ID bracelet, an air-conditioned room, 3 meals, and a phone call. Let's cool it with the Holocaust cosplay. It's dangerous rhetoric, and it just makes you look asinine. This is not 1936. It's 2025. If assigning numbers makes us Nazis, then I guess we need to put TSA on trial and burn every hospital wristband in America. Seriously, Brooke, you're right. How about this? You go rip up your social security card and go live in the fucking woods with no Wi-Fi. That's enough time on Brooke. The Nazi stuff and the fascism stuff is just getting out of hand. You sound like idiots. Let's move on. Speaking of idiots. Stephen Colbert was just fired by CBS. You all probably know this. He wasn't replaced, or he's not going to be replaced. He's not rebranded. He was just, the Late Show is just deleted. Gone. There's no host, no reboot, just silence. Finally. Honestly, this clip right here that I'm going to play you pretty much sums up his entire mindset during his run. 3 elections and 1 obsession. Boo Trump, yay Biden, boo Trump again, and now you're fired. He never adapted. He never grew. He just kept clinging to the same stale resistance routine while the rest of the country moved on. Check it out.
Donald Trump has been sworn in as President of the United States. I know. Listen, we're just as confused as you are. Joe Biden did it. I sat down and just started crying with relief. And Evie said, you never have to talk about him again. And then I cried with joy. After a bizarre and vicious campaign fueled by a desperate need not to go to jail, Donald Trump has won the 2024 election. Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show in May.
What a perfect video. This man watched network Late Show ratings collapse below cable and streaming platforms. He watched his audience shrink and still thought the best way to connect with America was to cry about Trump's tie color every single night for 8 years. The man was frozen in time in 2016, and he never left. You could hand him a check for $10 million and a plane ticket to reality, and he'd still be monologuing like it was election night. And now that CBS canceled The Late Show, theories are flying. It's Trump's fault. It's corporate suppression. It's a media conspiracy. Let me help you all. The bottom line is the show lost $40 million a year, and it cost $100 million to make. Most nights, more people watched reruns of Antiques Roadshow than Colbert's opening monologue. Stephen, your audience left you behind. You did not adapt. You doubled down on smug, elitist monologues and partisan sermonettes. You mocked regular people while playing lapdog to power. You did not resist. You hosted a televised tantrum until the check bounced. But wait, here comes Jimmy Kimmel to the rescue. America's moral compass, now that he's done crying on air and virtue signaling his way through his monologues, all while hoping nobody remembers how he got famous hosting a show where women bounced on trampolines and fat jokes were a sport. Here's his response to Colbert's cancellation. Love you, Stephen. Fuck you and all your Sheldons, CBS. I assume that means Big Bang Theory, Young Sheldon, I think was one of them. All of those shows together. Very classy response. Very composed, Jimmy. I can see the Peabody Award glowing in the distance. Jimmy Kimmel's mad at CBS for canceling a money pit, but keeping the Sheldons. But every single Sheldon show that was ever aired was beating your boy in ratings. Probably cost half as much to make. That's not betrayal, it's just business. Guess what, Jimmy? You're next. Your ratings are even worse than Colbert's. You're a man in a $3,000 suit who built a career on mocking people who shop at Walmart. You took a show known for weird street humor and turned it into an MSNBC therapy session. Congratulations. And then Jimmy made this piece of work. Take a listen.
CBS would rather spend $16 million to give money to Trump than to keep Stephen Colbert. Tell me, is this shameful and disgraceful? CBS will cancel The Late Show with Stephen Colbert in 2026, and the reason is financial problems. The truth is far more disgusting than this. 2 days ago, Stephen just revealed on the show, the parent company, Paramount, gave Trump $16 million to let him accept an exclusive interview with 60 Minutes. He said that this money was a big fat bribe, a big gift to the dictator. The result? The show is canceled without changing the cast or rescheduling, and the entire brand was directly wiped out.
Goodness, he sounds drunk in that. Probably is. But now Kimmel wants us to believe that Colbert was fired for calling CBS out for paying Trump $16 million for an exclusive interview. First off, that's a lie. The $16 million was actually a settlement because Trump was suing for aiding Kamala Harris in her interview that they aired. But let me get this straight. Either way, this is a private company who spends money on content that people really want to see. You're mad that they didn't spend another $40 million letting Stephen cry about Trump. Even if it was just retaliation for what he said, so what? You think CBS owes Colbert a job while he calls their parent company fascists? Imagine working for Target and going on TV saying your manager's a dictator. Then you're crying when you're not Employee of the Month. Here's what this really is. It's the old guard dying. Network TV late night is fading. YouTube, podcasts, independent creators, streaming. They've won. And these legacy clowns just can't handle it. Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert are the guys who complain that the band kicked them out while forgetting that they haven't learned a new song since 2006. It's not censorship when the market says you're boring. They were canceled. They weren't canceled. They expired. Like soy milk, fake outrage. And now, here's a twist, Jimmy Fallon could very well be the last one standing for the network late night shows. The question is, will he adapt, evolve, and figure out how to actually entertain and connect with America again? Or will he stay on the same path as Kimmel and Colbert, weeping through monologues, playing hall monitor for progressive social media, riding the ratings slide until NBC hands him a tote bag and a severance check? I always thought Fallon was the funniest of the three, and yes, Kimmel's not gone yet, technically, but let's be real. He's already warm in the seat in the cancellation waiting room. Fallon, you've got one shot. Don't blow it, sobbing into a Fauci pillow. I'm rooting for you. All right, let's move on from those guys. The last contestant stepping into the Grievance Games arena is none other than Jamaal Bowman, former congressman, fire alarm enthusiast, and now a part-time CNN therapist. Take a look at this.
The reason why heart disease,
I'm white, I can't comment
listen
on
to
it.
what I'm saying. The reason
saying?
why heart disease and cancer and
racist.
obesity
I can't
and
comment on
diabetes are bigger in the black community is because of the stress we carry from having to deal with being called the N-word directly or indirectly every day. If your colleagues would listen and try to learn and engage and grow and stop being so hateful, we could have a better country.
Jamal.
But unfortunately, we're still here.
Jamal. It's coming.
Wow. Victim. Here we go. I thought I had heard every possible way to play victim, but here we are. According to Bowman, black Americans have higher rates of heart disease, diabetes, obesity, and cancer because they're called the N-word every day, directly or indirectly. Indirectly? What does that even mean? Telepathic racism? I sensed someone across the street may have thought something. And now I have hypertension. This isn't victimhood. This is Olympic level mental gymnastics. And it does a total disservice to real issues in the black community. Issues of nutrition, education, urban policy, healthcare access. Actual variables. Real racism is also diminished. But instead, Jamal's out here peddling a theory that mean words are causing cancer. By that logic, the Jews, over history, should be dropping dead of stress at 25. Asians should be keeling over from microaggressions and college admissions. White kids being told they're born oppressors? Shouldn't they be all on life support from the stress? But nope, just Bowman's chosen group, apparently. Study after study shows that socioeconomic status and environment, not imagined insults, are the key drivers of health outcomes. In fact, low-income white Americans in food deserts suffer the same rates of diabetes and obesity. So what are they being called every day, directly or indirectly? Let's not forget, this isn't just bad science on Bowman's part. It's deeply insulting to the people who actually suffer from these diseases, to researchers who work to fix them, and to every minority group that knows what real adversity looks like. And they don't blame it on high cholesterol. You know what actually raises blood pressure, Jamal? Listening to nonsense like this and knowing that CNN paid you to say it. All right, here are the Grievance Games Awards for today. I'm jumping right into it. It was a lot today, but I think I covered it well. So, without further ado, the most dramatic performance in a fantasy war, Gavin Newsom. I'm sorry, this whole horse thing. He's bravely defending California's playgrounds from imaginary horseback invasions. The participation trophy for late night comedy, Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel. Two washed-up court jesters, still clapping back from the corner after the kingdom stopped watching. The most shameless use of word soup, Zohran Mamdani, for turning violent uprising into community investment without blinking. The Olympic-level victim card, Jamaal Bowman, for discovering that diabetes and heart disease are actually caused by racist brainwaves. And of course, the best supporting actress in a historical reenactment is Brooke from Brooke Talks Politics, for comparing wristbands at a detention center to Nazi death camps. Just read a book, Brooke. So this is what we're up against. Manufactured outrage, I keep saying it, delusion sold as empathy. Victimhood with a marketing team. These people aren't just saying insane things. They're trying to make you feel insane for disagreeing. Here's the good news. The tide is turning. They're getting fired. They're losing money. Their grip is slipping. The American people are done being gaslit by narcissists with a spotlight and a teleprompter. Let's keep that trend going together. Let's rebuild some sanity. And let's remind them the rest of us are finally watching. So stay questioning, stay laughing, try and stay neutral, and stay in the gray. See you next time. Love you all. Mic's off.